Hey everybody, what's going on? My name is Jesse, also known as Sublime, and in today's video we got a double whammy. We got 2 spin and goes in one video. Now the first thing I want to say is if you guys haven't joined the Discord, make sure you guys click the links in the description or in the comments section. We got a healthy Discord server. It's very fun to be a part of the community, and we always got giveaways going on too. So if you want to join any of that, make sure you join down below. Now we start off with a 7-7 here on the button. The flop comes out King 9-5. Everybody checks out to begin with, except for me. I raise it up to 30 after seeing the flop of King 9-5. Everybody calls all around, and then another 9 shows up. So he checks, and Marv, he bets. I call. It's a small little bet of 25, so it wasn't really crazy. And it comes out at 2. So he looks at his cards. He checks. I come over here, and I do a bet of 75. He looks at his cards again, and he says, I don't have it, and he folds it away, and we end up taking that first pot home with 275, which now puts us in a healthy chip lead, especially with 3 other people. The next card we get, though, on the big blind is a 7-5 offsuit. Now we just check it out. I was glitching out a little bit there, but that's okay. And the flop comes out 3-2-2. He throws out a bet for 20. I have to fold, though. I don't really have any equity in my hand, and I really just don't want to be a part of a trips, or maybe he has a 2 in his hand and he has 3 2s. But he throws out a bet for 20, and Lixman ends up folding it away. Or no, he calls it. Sorry, he calls it, and Max here, or Marv, oh my god, I can't speak today, but Marv throws out another bet for 25. Lixman calls it, and Lixman ended up having it. He had a 9 queen, and he had a 9 queen, and he ends up taking it with the highest pair on the board. The next hand we got, though, is a Jack 10 on the small blind. Now, I love playing the Jack 10. It's one of my favorite hands to play with, so I raise it up to 50 immediately. Lixman immediately calls me, and we get a straight draw here. It's a queen 3-8, so if we get a 9, we have a straight. A king pops up, so we have another straight. If an ace shows up, we also have a straight. And then a 10 shows up, so I check. He's about to bet, and he bets out 20. It's cheap for me. I call it, and lo and behold, would you know, he had 2 pair. He got it on the river. I was a little mad, but he would have had me beat if that 10 didn't show up anyways. So he was playing good hands there, but with that flop and what was out there, I wouldn't have done what he did. We got a 6-4 here on the button, no offsuit. We just call for 30. We get immediately a pair of 6s on the board. Highest pair on the board, so I raise it up to 50, just trying to get people to fold or call. We get 1 call, but we get 1 fold as well. And then we get a 4 as well. So obviously if somebody has a 3 here, they have a straight. But I have 2 pair. And I throw out a bet for 100. Lixman ends up calling it, and then the Jack of Hearts comes out. The only thing I was worried about was a 3, but we don't have to worry anymore because we ended up taking that pot home with 2 pair. We then get a 2 ace here on a big blind. We're chip leader by far. We have 705 to Marv's 295 and Lixman's 455. The flop comes out 9-6-2 rainbow. So we get a pair of 2s. Nothing crazy. Then a Jack shows up. I check. I still don't really have any equity with a pair of 2s. He checks. And then it comes out another Jack. He throws out a bet for 40. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, he might have like a... Even if he has a 6, he beats me. I'm still thinking, I'm like, is he bluffing? He's bluffed before. But for 40, I don't want to call that, so I just end up throwing my cards away. And would you look at that? He had a pair of 6s like I thought, and he ended up taking that pot home. We then get a 9-3 here in a small blind offsuit. We call for 20 here on our small blind, so it's not a worry. And it comes out Queen 7 Jack, all of diamonds here on the flop. So somebody might have a flush, somebody might have a pair of queens, pair of jacks, pair of aces, somebody might have a straight. There's so much on the board that can be done. and I have no equity in my hand, so I just end up folding that away. Then comes out with a jack of hearts on the river. This guy's going in for 20, or 200, sorry. Lixman calls it. And he ends up taking the pot home with a 10 king. Like I said, there were so many possibilities on the board. Straight, flush, you know, 2 pair, 3 of a kind. There was crazy amounts of so many different options I just wanted out of it. And I didn't really have a good hand. We then get a king ace here on the button. We raise it to 115. Lixman goes all in and he calls it. Marv here is looking at me. And he ends up calling it too. Now we got 3 ways in for 75 each. Or for 115 each. The flop comes out 4-7 ace with 2 clubs. Now if I have an ace in my hand. I have one of the strongest aces in my hand unless he has 2 aces. Lixman shows that he has a 5-6, so possibly a straight if he gets an 8 or a 3. Another 7 shows up and then a 5 shows up. We end up taking that pot home with pairs of aces, with the highest kicker you can have with a pair of aces. And now we're heads up against Marv here. We then get a 2-2 here on a big blind. Nice little hand to play with. If a 2 pops up, and lo and behold, would you look at that, a 2 pops up on the flop. Now he bets into me. I checked it out. He bets into me for 60. I raise it up to 135. He then re-raises me to about 175. I snap call all in. He snaps all in. And he shows that he had a jack 4 on his hand. So we get a 3 of a kind here with the 2s, and we end up taking that pot home, and we take it right to the bank. The only thing that would have beat us is another jack showing up or 2 more 4s, but very unlikely for that to happen, and we end up taking that pot home. Now this was a lot of fun to play with. Marv was a great guy to talk to and play with. And of course this is the winner circle now, and I'm going to use this to say, again, if you haven't joined a Discord, please join. So many awesome community members and so many awesome people down there, and this is just me trying to get a thumbnail, as you can see. But now we're going to hop over to our next sit and go here, and we're playing on Medieval. We're spinning for about 200,000 chips, and the buy-ins for these are 100,000. So when you get the 200,000, you're like, man, I don't even want to do this. But you end up doing it anyways, because if you're good at poker and you're good at winning, then you do it because it's a free 100,000 chips. This guy immediately raises it to 100, this Megaverse guy. Now at the beginning he was kind of playing like an asshole, and then he calmed down a bit. He was re-raising like crazy. He wasn't raising like popular formula. Like he would go in for 100, he would raise to like 100. Actually, I'm going to stop talking about that right now, because these guys, first hand, both go all in. He's looking at his cards, he's looking back at him, looking at his cards, looking back at him, and this is what you see quite a bit when you get like a $200,000 spin. A lot of these guys will just go all in first hand just so they can go to the next one and hopefully get like a 400, 600, 1 million chip pot. He goes all in with 10-5 though. Didn't have any pairs or nothing. Megaverse there had pocket 3s, so he ended up taking that pot home. Very surprising to me, but nonetheless he did win, and now we're heads up, and he has a 2-to-1 chip advantage on me, so I gotta really fight. I'm punching up at air here. He raises it to 50, fold immediately. I had a jack 4. I'm not really gonna do much with that hand unless a jack 4 pops up, so I end up folding that away. We then get a 3-5 of hearts here on the big blind. We end up just calling it. He raises it to 40, we call it. It comes out king 10-4. He then is looking at his chips. He's looking. I folded immediately. He raised it to 60, and I just folded it right away. He shows that he had a king too, so he had a pair of kings, but it was a weak pair of kings. We then get a king 7 suited here in a small blind. I limp in. He just checks. It comes out 3, jack 6, all rainbow, and he bets up to 80. I fold it. We weren't hitting much with our hands in this table up until later on, but at the beginning we were looking very weak. It looks like we were making it look like we were very easy to fold, we were very easy to intimidate, and I think that might have been to my favor towards the end. but I was hitting absolutely nothing. Here though, another queen pops up on the turn after a queen 2-7 flop. I raise it up to 55, and he immediately folds. Good bluff on us. We had 4 and 9 not suited, and it was a good bluff by us. We then get a 4-10 here on the small blind, not suited, and it comes out king 8 jack with 2 clubs on the board. We got a 10 of clubs, so we get 3 clubs now on the board. And then another club shows up. We got 10 high flush. Definitely not like one of the strongest flushes you can have, but in heads up, fairly strong. He raises at 100. I call, and we end up taking that pot home for, we got about 260. So now we're 530 to 925. We get a queen 10 here on the big blind. The flop comes out 5, 10, 10 with 2 clubs. I got 3 of a kind. And then a jack of diamonds shows up. And then another 5 shows up, so we got 10 over 5s with a full house. Now, I wasn't betting at all. I felt like if I were to bet, he would have folded immediately. I raised it up to 60 just to get a little bit more value out of him. He didn't budge though. He ended up folding the cards the way I show him I had a full house. And he was like, good job, man, good job. We then get a 5-4 here in a small blind. He raises it to 50. I call it. At this point, you know, I'm just kind of shooting in the dark. We get a king 3 ace. So if we hit a 2, we get a straight. But then we hit a 4 as well. So we got a pair of 4s. We got to the straight. Now if he had something like ace 2, all he needed was a 5. I was very kind of nervous about this hand. There was a lot of possibilities that were there. There's a flush that was there. There was a straight that was there. He showed he had ace 3, so he was, I think he was beating me there. We then get a 10 ace here on the big blind. I raise it up to 70. He looks at his cards, and he calls it. Flop comes out 10, 5, 8. We got a pair of 10s here with 2 hearts on the board, and we have the ace of hearts, so we're sitting fairly well. I raise it up to 90. He calls it. Then a king shows up. I check. He looks at his cards. He checks. And a 4 shows up, so there's no straight. There's no flush. And I end up taking that pot home for about 400. So that was nice, and now we are fairly much tied up. Like, we got 690 to his 750. So we're fairly even in chips. The flop comes out 6, 7, 6, and we have a queen 4 offsuit. On the small blind, he raises it to 40, minimum bet. I just end up folding it. There's 2 6s on the board and a 7. I really don't have nothing in that hand. And we just fold it away. We then get a 7-2 here on the big blind. He checks, I check. It comes out 8, jack 9. What is he gonna do? He's going to throw out a $50 bet. I don't want to bet that much to see a 10, so I just end up folding it as well. And then we get a 4-8 here offsuit. Again, not crazy good, but we call it regardless. It's heads up, right? Anything could happen. He raises it to 70. I call it. And then it comes out 7, 6, 10. Now we have an 8 in our hand, so we need a 9. If a 5 shows up, we got a straight as well. So he puts out a bet for 200. I immediately snap all in. He's looking at me like, damn, what do you have? I think he might have thought I had like an 8-9 or something, but he folded regardless, and that was a very nice top up for us. We're now the chip leader. We have 880 to his 530. He raises it to 90. I call it with the 210, just because of like how just weird the tables have been. A 2-5 king shows up. We both check. A 3 shows up. I throw out a bet for about 60. He looks at his cards. He's looking again. I've been playing very strong this whole table, and I've shown that like when I do play, I have good cards, and when I don't play, I don't have good cards. So I'm using that to kind of my advantage here with bluffing him. And we then get a 2-5 here on a small blind. It comes out queen 9, 10. We both check. A king shows up. We both check. Actually, no, I raise it to 60 and he folds. Another bluff from us. but it looked like I had maybe like a queen or a 10 or a 9, so that's why he ended up folding it. We had an ace 8. I think he just folded it immediately, so we didn't even have to worry about it. We then get another 2-5 here in a small blind offsuit, and it comes out 7-3-5. Now we have a pair of 5s. He raises to 100. I call it. I have the chip lead. I'm not too worried about 100 chips. Then a 2 pops up. We got 2 pair now on the turn. I'm just thinking, what is he gonna do here? Is he gonna go all in? And that's immediately what he does. He starts going all in. I'm like, this is exactly where I want him. I have 2 pair with no possible flush except for diamonds. And he shows that he had a 7-6, so he would have needed a 6 or a 7 to win. He did not get that, or a 4 too. He could have had a 4 and win that as well, but he didn't get that, and we end up taking the pot home, and we get another winner circle here. So thank you everybody for watching so much. You guys are truly some of the best fans on YouTube. And when I say that, I mean it. You guys are awesome. Make sure you guys join the Discord. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video and hit that bell notification so every time I upload, you know about it. Thank you guys for watching so much. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there. Bye-bye now.